Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you're all doing well. We have a lot to cover today, so let's jump right into it. First up, when Arthur Hayes has an opinion, he does intend to mince words. The BitMEX CEO and noted pot stirrer stayed true to form on Tuesday when using a few colorful illustrations. He predicted that the Ethereum price is on track to plunge to double-digit price levels. Writing in BitMEX's Crypto Trader Digest, this is for reference, this is BitMEX's website. It appears that they are focused solely on Bitcoin. This may be why they are saying what they're saying. And this is the other thing that the article that he wrote. I'm going to try to remember to put this in the description below so you can look at it yourself. Writing in BitMEX's Crypto Trader Digest, the exchange operator's semi-regular newsletter, Hayes argued that Ethereum is an SHIT coin whose price has been buttressed or held up by ICOs since at least early 2017. Increasingly, those investments come from venture capitalists who he says will eventually capitulate to the bear market and dump their Ether and ERC20 tokens at whatever price they can get, he said, and I do quote. The venture capitalist investor who has never suffered the vagaries, I don't think I said that correctly, of the market is as green as the noob who thinks or she thinks can go from 1 to 100 Bitcoin in a few trading days. They don't have the mental strength to cut position to further limit losses or back up the truck and buy opportune dips even though they are down. More importantly, LPs can now see an objective last price for a particular token and can't be hoodwinked. Who is this guy? They will attempt to be a Monday morning quarterback, and that only adds to the venture capitalist investors' anxiety. At a certain point, they go F it and dump everything they can, end quote. That is quite a quote. As CCN reported, Ethereum has been a headliner in the week's altcoin bloodbath, weird term. The second largest cryptocurrency, once considered a lock to supplant Bitcoin as the most valuable cryptocurrency, traded as low as $249 on Monday and is still down around 22% more or less. It's sitting around, I think actually even right now, around 280, maybe 285 or something like that at the time of me making this video. Some analysts have speculated that the sell-off is a result of the ICO-funded startups cashing out their Ether, fearing that the bear market is going to extend further than many people had initially expected. However, Hayes argues that it will be venture capitalists who deal the real death blow since fund managers tend to operate according to a herd mentality. He said, the herd of token venture capitalist punters will all decide to sell at the same time. If you don't sell and the market continues falling, you lose your job. So everyone sells simultaneously, but who can eat all that SHIT? Retail cannot, because the deals would never have gotten so large without institutional money. So we gap lower, first on tokens, then on the mothership Ether, end quote. One another quote, he said, I don't know where the tipping point will be, but in hindsight, it will be obvious when the capitulation occurs. There are those who believe that a sustainable token economy can exist, but they won't be buying at these levels. Sub $100 takes us back to spring 2017 levels. At those depressed prices, the carry-on is ripe for ingestion, end quote. I don't know who hurt this guy or what exactly is going on. Like I always say, there's always an ulterior motive when people say things like this. You have to dig a bit deeper. This is personal. I feel like he had a girlfriend whose name was Ether, and this is why he's saying all these things. This isn't as random as I think people think. I told you guys, as we get closer to the mid-end level of Q3, September, October, I think we're going to have more news like this, but this might be the most, the harshest one that I think we've seen. A lot of people were saying when I read the news 2 days ago about why, I think 2 or 3 days ago, why Ethereum's price had fallen. They disagreed, but it logically makes sense. If there are, I think there are several hundred now ICOs that have been built on top of Ethereum. A lot of them have already launched. And I told you, realistically, they're going to sell off their Ethereum that they got from their ICO in order to be able to fund their projects. And everyone has kind of launched the exact same time. We saw a lot of the major quote unquote coins that launched around June into the beginning of July. It was around 15 or so coins, more or less. And they raised tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And they all said that they plan on selling their Ether as well. So this may be the shock that many people weren't expecting. We had news that at least the people from EOS planned on selling their enormous amount of Ether that they had. But I guess everyone else, if everyone seemingly, or most people have seemingly decided to switch from Ethereum to another platform because of the scalability issue, I think this could, or I hope this will rev up the Ethereum engine, because it's not looking too good. This isn't FUD. Regardless of what you might say, this is actually real and this is actually happening. I think something really major would have to happen to Ethereum in order for the price to hit below $100. We've seen it for a couple of other coins, a lot of other coins that have dropped by 70, 80. A couple of coins have dropped by like 90%. So it's definitely, or it could possibly be in the cards. But I think this is probably one of the craziest things that I've ever heard. Perhaps he has some type of insider information that none of us are really aware of or just not really paying attention to. But I mean, the only saving grace right now for Ethereum, and it's very, very sad because they had such a large run up. They got to, it was $1,300 a coin. Even, a lot of it was obviously hype. The market was completely hyped up. But when you look at it, we were promised a lot of things in 2017 that we were told that we would get in 2016. It's 2018. We still don't have these things. And now they're talking about we won't have them, or these updates won't be fully implemented until 2020. That is a major issue. Because I think I mentioned it once before, when Ethereum was first starting out and the project was still crawling, it was a couple of weeks old or something like that. The price had fallen so much in the market that the people behind Ethereum had stated that they were thinking of even ending the Ethereum project because they just didn't have enough money. I assume they have enough backers and stuff like that now. But if they fall below $100, that is going to be a major red flag. And I think if the price goes below $100, we'll see a lot more people talking down about Ethereum, which is kind of sad because it'll probably be the same exact people who've been praising it for so long. You've seen the other articles that I've been reading with all these other people talking about how great Ethereum is. Ethereum's going to be the next Bitcoin. Ethereum's going to definitely go up to $10,000 a coin. They're all kind of silent right now. I don't know if they are pressuring the people behind Ethereum to kind of get the ball rolling, but Ethereum will not logically and realistically and mathematically be able to survive if these updates end up taking until 2020. That is far too long. I am not a coder, and I don't know exactly how long it takes to develop something as large as being able to scale to even just to 1,500 transactions per second. But something needs to happen, and it needs to happen by the end of 2018, or there will definitely be a new number 2 coin on the market. That is the beginning of the Ethereum news for today. There's a lot of stuff going on. Next up, this is news about another ETF that is going to happen, or hedge fund. Reality Shares, an asset management firm based in California, will be launching a $100 million multi-strategy crypto hedge fund, according to a source from that told Business Insider. According to the company Insider, the crypto fund will be a mix of arbitrage, venture, and directional strategies. Reality Shares has already obtained $25 million for the fund, the source said. The company also launched the first ever Chinese blockchain-based exchange-traded fund in June 2018. The Reality Shares NASDAQ Next Gen Economy ETF BCLN focuses on investing in global blockchain companies, while Realty Shares NASDAQ Next Gen Economy China ETF BCNA backs blockchain companies based in China. According to Crypto Research Fund, a total of 466 funds currently exist in the cryptocurrency industry. 88 of the funds were launched before 2014, 32 in 2014, 30 in 2015, 42 in 2016, and 156 in 2017. So far, 96 have been launched this year, and they're expecting 165 by the end of 2018. These are the funds, I believe. Not going to read through that. Reality Shares joins the ranks of 75 other funds that are capped between $5 to $100 million. Only 28 crypto funds have crossed the $100 million mark. Anderson Horowitz is one such firm, which announced its $300 million crypto fund in June of 2018. Not going to really read through all the rest of it. Not really that necessary. But this is yet another fund that is going to be, I wonder how these funds are doing or have been doing since the market has declined. I'm actually shocked that there are actually that many funds floating around out there. There's a couple hundred at this point. I wonder what their strategy is or what they're doing or how they're actually getting, or if they're getting new people joining into the space. And this is, I mean, when we talk about institutional investors, this is kind of it. I mean, not many people are going to be dumping 2, 3, 4, 5 million at one time into these gigantic funds. So I guess they've been around for a while, but I guess the major money, wherever it may be, somewhere out there in space, is still waiting on the sidelines. But yeah, and also no word as to what coins they're going to be holding, but I'm pretty sure we can guess which ones are going to be held. It's typically the same 5 that are always held, but this is the blockchain ETF crypto hedge fund news for today. On the same exact idea of the first thing that we were talking about, I think Ethereum, or the people behind Ethereum, notice what's going on. I don't know what's caused all of this. I don't know if it's just been, sometimes when your pockets get full and you are at a high position, you just assume that you'll maybe be there for quite some time. I don't know if things have taken a bit too long. I don't know exactly what it is. But anyway, leading up into all of that, Joseph Lubin, who is one of the co-founders to the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, Ethereum, and current CEO of Consensus, told Bloomberg in an interview published yesterday that he is not concerned with the sinking price of cryptocurrency or the overall impact it will have upon the growth of the industry. While investors across the world reel double-digit losses to extend an already taxing market in 2018, Lubin is confident that the industry will continue its march of adoption and growth that has characterized 2018 despite the otherwise bearish atmosphere. In particular, Lubin cites last December's massive bull run, which bled over in the early weeks of 2018, as being bubble-like developments and that are similar to price increases in the past. As Lubin points out, the past occurrence of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general spiking in price, followed by a crash, hence creating multiple bubbles over time, is just par for the course, and each time getting slightly worse. While the bubble makes for a terrible experience to investors having to survive the bear market, it doesn't indicate that the industry is failing in terms of development or adoptive achievement. Lubin claims have been, he said, 6 big bubbles, each more epic than the previous one, and each bubble is astonishing when they're happening. Yeah, they're happening, end quote, and they've happening. That's not right. Despite being all-consuming during the bubble, looking back on the ebb and flow of the market reveals a more steady movement in price, which Lubin refers to as pimples on the chart. He also finds, in some small part, the severity of the crash to be indicative of the industry's growth. The most recent crash has been much more severe due to the fact that cryptocurrency is spreading. ICOs are on the rise, more projects are being developed with intriguing concepts compelling investors to pour money into. He said, "We build more infrastructure, fundamental infrastructure. We see a correction and the potential gets even more impressive. I absolutely expect that there is a strong correlation between the rise in price and the growth of fundamental infrastructure in the ecosystem and the growth of development in the ecosystem. We are probably 2 orders of magnitude bigger as a developer community than we were 8 or 10 months ago." A lot of cryptocurrency developers and our people who are in the space have said before in the past that they are actually happy for the price crash. I know it seems a bit weird that they would say things like that, but they have noted that they like that the prices have gone down, so they have a bit more time to focus on actually developing their platforms. When you look at charts, I don't have any of the charts open, and you kind of draw a sideways upward trending line from where we were in, let's say, September of last year to where we are right now. Prices are either more or less the same, or they're slightly up. So part of the issue is a lot of people dumped into the market in December and January. The prices have gone down, but there's still, if you got into crypto, let's say around early 2017, you are still making heavy profits. But a lot of the prices falling have not really been too nice to a lot of people. So like I said, I think they understand that. Well, I'm sure they have a chart and they see that the prices of Ethereum are going down. But this is something that we're going to just have to deal with. I still am bullish on crypto. I still love Ethereum. I love what they do. I like the team behind it. I like what they are trying to accomplish. But I fear for their immediate future. And I don't see any possible change for this unless we get... I mean, we had news from Vitalik a couple of months ago that he said, not Casper, I forgot what it was. It wasn't Casper or Plasma. He said that they are working on some type of hybrid for both of them, which I think he said is close. I hope that doesn't mean like close in 18 months. The fact is, I think they plan on implementing a small bit of it into the code because I think they understand 15 transactions per second is not going to cut it when you have several hundred things on your back, ICOs or other coins being built on top of it. So I think even if, I mean, realistically, if they can even pump it up to 800 transactions per second, I think that would still be a big boost and that would give them at least a year to continue developing stuff. But I think Ethereum will obviously continue to develop. There's no question about that. There are tons of people who are working on Ethereum and that's not going to stop. But as far as the price goes, they may be in trouble if they do not get it together. Sorry if you guys hear the guy cutting grass outside. It's kind of annoying. I know I can hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Next up, the Winklevoss or the Winklevosses, whatever you want to call them, are in the news once again. I told you they're in the news 2, 3, 4 times a week. They make sure that they're out there. Crypto exchange Gemini CEO Tyler Winklevoss believes it will take time for the majority of Wall Street to enter the cryptocurrency sector. The Winklevoss brothers also said they won't be slowing down anytime soon after the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, rejected their proposal for a Bitcoin ETF recently, speaking in an interview with Bloomberg. It's been a tough period for the owners of Gemini Trust Co. Exchange, who have seen dwindling trade volumes on the exchange, declining prices for their holdings, and a proposed Bitcoin exchange traded rejection last month. First of all, let me say a couple of things. When they first got into the cryptocurrency space, I thought it was not suspect. I thought it was interesting that they had fallen so deep into the cryptocurrency hole, into the Bitcoin hole, especially after the entire... my gosh, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Especially after the wounds were still more or less fresh from the entire Facebook thing. Over the past couple of months, I don't know, I'm sure you've noticed, there was an article, I don't have it on here, it's not really extremely relevant. Coinbase said that they're not worried about the prices going down at all. They've actually, I think they still are maybe, or they had last year, still having around 50,000 people signing up to their website every day. If those numbers are correct, that is absolutely insane, and it makes me wonder why prices are still going down. If you have, 1.5 million people going onto your platform every single month who are buying into the market, it makes me wonder why things would be going down. Anyway, on the topic of Gemini and dwindling trade volumes and stuff like that, I don't use Gemini. I have never used Gemini. And also on that note, I don't know many other people who actually do use Gemini. I think they've been probably the most boring crypto exchange I have ever seen in my entire life. I don't know who's advising them. I don't know. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks this. One, this is not me talking down about them. First of all, I don't know them. I am not in the richest of circles, what have you. But I'm sure you've noticed as well. I think they have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and I think they just added, Zcash or something like that. They have the most boring coin selection. You never hear about them. I think their website looks abysmal. This is not me once again talking down about them, but I'm not surprised that they have declining prices for their holdings and dwindling trade volume. And even when they're, I think they're trying to pull a Facebook in that I think they're trying to get in early with an ETF to say that they are the... If you have done any research on the Winklevoss twins, they're in the news a lot, and I talk about them because they are the people who are helping to move the market. But they're just so dry, and I mean, it's just... I didn't mean to take a jab at them for the last 5 minutes or whatever, but I mean, honestly, I'm going to read on, but they have literally one of the most boring... They had so many more opportunities to take over Coinbase. First of all, they could have added at least 20 other coins to their platforms that are known not to be securities. They have said they've tried to pull a Brad Garlinghouse over the last year and a half, where they talk about that they're trying to be as regulated as possible, and they want to follow all the rules and all this other stuff. You can easily talk to the SEC and ask them, which coins are not securities. The fact that Coinbase has come forward talking about that they're potentially going to be adding 5 to their platform and 30 other coins to their custody thing, XRP being one of them. They could have easily added so much more. I don't know what their whole game is. I think they're trying to become more famous on the fact that they own 250,000 Bitcoin and 300,000 Ethereum. I don't know exactly what it is. I've let out a bit too much anger. I'm going to continue reading. The reluctance exhibited by the SEC to approve their fund twice is a tough pill to swallow for most, but the brothers said they would continue to grow the business despite the absence of institutional investors in the industry. I think the institutional investors are there, but they're probably just not using their platform. CEO of Gemini, Tyler Winklevoss, said institutional investors were gradually warming up to cryptocurrencies, but it will take time before they make a splash, he said. Wall Street is taking cryptocurrencies seriously. However, the vast majority of Wall Street firms are still not participating in the cryptocurrency market, which remains primarily a retail-driven market. This will change over time, but it will take time, end quote. Institutional investors have been on the sidelines for a while due to the regulatory uncertainty happening around cryptocurrencies. Investors on Wall Street are waiting for the regulators to clarify their positions on tokens and allow other financial instruments in the market, such as the Bitcoin ETF proposed draft by the Gemini and CBOE Global Markets. The fund, if approved, would have opened up the volatile cryptocurrency market to institutional investors. On that same note, I think, and I'm going to take a shot in the digital dark here, I think that the Winklevoss twins are actually unpopular in the economic world. Like I said, I don't know them, and I don't know what they're like in their circles, but I have a strong inkling. This is why the CBOE was allowed last year to have their futures, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the Gemini twins, my lord, I was looking at Gemini. The Winklevoss twins also tried to launch their own futures as well last year, and I think that was also shut down. And I think the shutdown of their second attempt for an ETF is not a mistake either. I think it's going to be either given to the CBOE or to the New York Stock Exchange, who's also launching something. I think what is happening is that institutional investors are definitely in the market, but they probably stayed away from Gemini. And what's going to happen is that they're probably going to move even further away when the New York Stock Exchange gets into the market in November. Because why would you choose the Winklevoss twins and Gemini over the New York Stock Exchange, which has a longer history and a higher backing to it? I hope you guys see what I'm saying. This wasn't meant to be a smear campaign. I promise you it wasn't. I guess that was just something that was in the back of my head for quite some time, and it kind of all word vomited all over the place. But they're constantly in the news. They seem very what's the word? I'm trying to say it in the nicest way. I think they think that they are higher on the pedestal than they actually are. And I've done a little bit of research, and even you can kind of tell during the entire Facebook not trial, but the thing where they were talking about that they created Facebook and stuff like that. I don't think they're very tech savvy, and I think that they try to take credit for a lot of other things. This is why I think that they think that they're important, because they got into Bitcoin. They constantly boast that they got into Bitcoin when it was $1, and that when Bitcoin hit $10, that they doubled down and brought as much as they possibly could. And I'm sure they've been buying this entire time. So I think they've been trying to tout themselves as crypto prophets. I'm going to continue bringing news about them simply because they are market movers. They do have some type of an influence in the market. Sometimes they do get money flowing and stuff like that, but I just think they're really boring. They really bring nothing to the table. They've had 2 years. I think Gemini, their exchange, has been around for about 1.5 years, 2 years. They've had that entire time to usurp Coinbase. I don't know if they're also invested in Coinbase and they're just trying to not knock down something else that they've also invested in. But Gemini is so boring. They could do so much more with their time, and so much more. They could have added at least 15 other coins. We know that all the forks of Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities. This was stated, I think, by somebody in the SEC a couple of weeks ago. They said it's safe to assume that if Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't, and the other ones are kind of acting the exact same way, and they weren't done by an ICO and or airdropped, I believe, as well, then, logically they're all, but whatever. Anyway, this is the Winklevoss news for the day. I don't think it's going to take time. I think it'll just take time for people to actually jump onto their platform, and I think a lot of people haven't. On that same exact note of me rambling, let me know if you have used Gemini and if you liked it. I'm going to assume there will not be an abundant amount of comments, I'm going to say. No one ever talks about Gemini. No one ever talks about using Gemini. People talk about Coinbase. People talk about Binance. People talk about Bittrex. People talk about Kraken. I think people are still even talking about using Poloniex and stuff like that more than I hear them talking about using Gemini. That's all I'm going to say on that topic. Did not mean to spend too much time on that. Kik and Ken are in the news once again. The Ken Ecosystem Foundation, the creator of the cryptocurrency backed by social media company Kik Interactive, has selected 40 consumer apps to participate in the inaugural edition of its development incubator. Announced on Wednesday, the program, which will fund 40 out of more than 200 projects who submitted applications, will primarily feature new apps, though it has also attracted more than a dozen apps that already have a combined active user base of more than numbers in the millions. So this is kind of backing on the purpose of Kik. They started Ken, which is their own coin, and they said that they had a fund to be able to find 25 developers and or projects to be made that would exclusively use their coin. It appears they have found 40 out of 200 that have been submitted. That's also 60% more than the 25 that the foundation really planned, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so the fact that they already have some of them that are planning to use Ken, that already have user base in the millions, is also very significant. The goal of the program is to fund the development of miniature in-app Ken economies, bootstrapping the adoption of the cryptocurrency that late last year raised $98 million through an ICO. They said the Ken developer program allows us to harness the creativity of the global developer community to achieve our goal of becoming the most used cryptocurrency in the world. That I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But when you think about it, it does kind of make a lot of sense. If they have 40 projects that even to say half of them have numbers in the millions, and they already have a large number of people who are on their platform who can download the app and also use, I think also within the Kik app or something like that, I think you can send people Ken back and forth. And I think they also have something where they're trying like a streaming service or something like that, where you can, these things are major in China if you don't know about it, like watch like live streaming China, like Google it or YouTube it, and there's tons of documentaries about it. It's really insane what's happening. So I think this could be possible. I don't know how possible it is, but it would be absolutely insane if they became not the most valuable, but the most used. This was said by Danny Fishel, who is the president of Ken. He said, "We received proposals that plan to integrate Ken in new and exciting ways, and we are eager to work with these developers to build real consumer use of the cryptocurrency." I guess is the allocation of everything that they plan on doing. I'm not going to really say the exact numbers. One of the projects is called Nearby, a social networking app that helps users make new friends. Think Tinder for friendship, and plans to replace its current reward system with Ken, enabling its millions of users to earn and spend the cryptocurrency within the app. I'm not exactly sure how what they're trying to market this as. We are all adults here. I'm not going to say it out loud, but we know what Tinder is. Tinder for friendship just sounds like a Tinder 2.0 for me. And the fact that you will get rewards. So the entire thing that intrigues me about Ken or Kik is that I think they are, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the only or very few cryptocurrencies that are finding, and I mean like an immense amount of use cases for their coin. If this picks up and you have a friendship/dating app where you can meet other people for friendship and also receive rewards and money and be able to spend it within the app, think of how popular other friendship apps are, and imagine the incentive of being able to make money from them. Think of how weird and insane in how popular that could possibly become if that ends up becoming a major thing. They said cryptocurrency has the potential to fundamentally change the way developers build consumer apps. This was said by Brian Hamachek, who is the co-founder of Nearby. This program gives us the opportunity to use a leading cryptocurrency and learn from the experts in the space while being compensated for our efforts. We're excited to create new use cases for Kin that add to the growth of the Kin ecosystem. Another participating project is called WeCrypt, who plans to integrate Kin into its peer-to-peer internet sharing app. Users can earn Kin by sharing their mobile data with others or use the token to purchase internet access from another WeCrypt user. In addition to mentoring from Kin Ecosystem Foundation, projects will receive 15,000 and 15 million Kin, around $7,000 right now, following a demo day in early October. Yeah, not really important to really talk about the rest of the prices. I hope you understand or can kind of see you need use cases for your coins, and even more with use cases, this can also be done to apps. This is why I talk about there are a lot of other hype coins. Kin has been out for a year, maybe less than a year, and they already have at least 40 things that we know about that are being built on the side that are going to be using their coin. I assume we're going to have a lot of other, I know there are a lot of talk about like ride sharing apps and stuff like that will, that are going to be using cryptocurrencies. I assume the Kin developers also have something like that in mind. This already completely intrigues me, wherever it was, somewhere around here, the entire friendship thing. I don't know where that line is anymore. But I think this is going to be, there's a lot of Kin floating around. Don't be fooled. There's not like, 100 million of them. I think there's 756 billion. I think that's the number. But I think they're well on their way to pushing themselves forward. I think they're doing something incredibly interesting, and I really want to see exactly how this is going to turn out. I am not paid by Kin, Kick, whoever they are. I don't know them. This is not a paid advertisement. I think I'm going to continue talking about this as long as they have new stuff coming out, but you have to understand the usefulness of something in this space where they're actually actively developing something for, because a lot of the other cryptocurrencies are developing, or they're building their infrastructure up in hopes that other people will stumble upon them and use them and be able to buy coffee with them and be able to pay for a mattress with them, whatever the case might be. But when you have something like this that is already well established, where people can play games and interact with each other and pay each other, let's say you owe your friend $5 or $10 or euros, and you can pay them directly through the app, through the cryptocurrency that you've been earning for free. It kind of all completely adds up. That's going to do it for the Kin Kick news. But I think they're well on their way, and I'm still going to say it again. I'm interested to see exactly 1 year from now, exactly how far this project is going to be. I think some people can already download the Kin app. I think it's only allowed within the United States, if I'm not mistaken, so far. I think they're trying to do like a slow push out of the app. Last up, we have news about Ethereum Classic. The cryptocurrency Ethereum Classic moved ahead of the market in recent hours when it surged by a further 15% on top of Wednesday's already 20% gains. The upward gains follow crypto giant, exchange giant consumer. Oh my gosh. Coinbase's announcement posted on Twitter indicating that Ethereum Classic would be available for purchase and trading on the platform as of 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday. I don't even know what today's date is. Ethereum Classic was at a two-time high of 1850 earlier this month, the same level it had reached on July 7th when the Coinbase announcement made further rounds. The listing on Robinhood also had an effect in boosting Ethereum Classic's price. Not going to spend an enormous amount of time talking about Ethereum Classic. The price of Ethereum Classic is currently up as per the Coinbase effect. What I think is interesting about this is, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I am false and assuming so, when we have some type of a price prediction talking about that the price of Ethereum will fall below $100, and we have Ethereum Classic already $14. I think it was around 18 something a couple of days ago before we had that gigantic drop 2 or 3 days ago. If Ethereum, the normal Ethereum, goes into double digits and is even near the price of Ethereum Classic, that is probably a major problem. I think regardless of what you might think about Ethereum, the platform still has hundreds of things that are built on top of it. Even just by name alone, Ethereum is more is stronger and more well-known than Ethereum Classic. And I think if Ethereum, the number one Ethereum, falls below $100, I think that is going to be the biggest manipulation that we've seen in the last 12 months. I don't think Ethereum is going to go down below 100. I think something really horrific has to happen to the price of Ethereum. But even then, like, Ethereum Classic doesn't have hundreds of things built on top of it. It's not really touting itself as much. We don't really hear about Ethereum Classic as much in the news. But the point is that Ethereum Classic apparently is listed, has been listed, is going to be listed. I honestly have no idea what today's date is. I have to look at my phone for that. Today is Thursday. Welcome to Thursday. All the days kind of blend in, especially with cryptocurrency news. I think that's going to do it for this video. There's still a lot more to cover. I'm going to try and squeeze it all into a second video. There's just, I think we're at that the point in the week where everything is kind of, going. Oh, see, Ethereum's up a little tiny bit, where things are kind of going insane because we're at the middle of the week and everyone wants to give out their news at the exact same time. Hope you all enjoyed. I hope you guys are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you once again for watching and or listening, depending on how you are gathering this information. I thank you once again, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.